and frames in HTML. We interact with many forms on the internet every day. Whether you are searching for a topic or logging into your email account, you use forms in one or the other way. A form can be useful to collect personal information, contact information, opinions, any user input the author may need, to enter shipping or credit card data, to order a product, or to retrieve search results from a search engine, etc. A form is a collection of fields of information on a page. It resembles a paper on which a user fills the required information. The various fields of data in a form may contain text boxes, radio buttons, drop-down menus, checkboxes, password boxes and other elements. These elements are called form controls. The simple HTML codes contain two elements, the form element and an input element nested within the form element. The form element sets up an area for a form on the web page. The input element creates various form controls such as a button, text box, checkbox, etc. on the form area. First, let us understand working of forms. Let us see how the forms transfers from their design phase to their execution phase. HTML elements are used within the form element to create and name the form controls, as well as format their appearance and behavior. An attribute in the form element tells the browser and web server about the program that will process the form information. The browser displays the form and allows the server to fill it out, collects the data and sends it to the web server. The web server sends the data to the CGI, Common Gateway Interface program for processing. The CGI program processes the form data and the processed information is sent back to the browser. Okay, let us know more. A web form consists of two parts, the HTML front end and a back-end form processor. The HTML front end part handles the presentation while the back end handles the form submissions. The back end of the form is usually written in languages like PHP or ASP. Students note that CGI, Common Gateway Interface programs are required to process the information present in a form. There are two types of CGI programs and CGI scripts. The only difference between these two is that the CGI programs make use of compiled languages such as Visual Basic, C, C++, etc. Whereas the CGI scripts make use of the scripting languages such as Perl, Unix, Shell scripts, etc. Students, let us learn how to create a form. Every form uses a form element which begins with a form tag and ends with a /form tag. It also includes some unique elements for each control, such as the input element, select element and text area element. These tags inform the browser that anything specified between them belongs to the form. Syntax HTML, body, form. Form elements, /form, /body, /HTML. Forms can be divided into three sections, namely form header, input fields, action buttons. To set up a form, you need to specify two important attributes, that is action and method. Action. It usually specifies the file or page that the form is submitted to. The values could either be a URL to the script or an email address defined with the mail to function that should receive the form information. Method. It specifies that the form information should be posted to the URL given in the action attribute. Possible values are get and post. Syntax. Form action equals to in mail to email ID close method equals to in post close name equals to in name of the form close /form. Get. This is the default value. It is used whenever you wish to email the form contents. Post. You can make use of this value whenever you want to pass the information to the URL specified in the action attribute. Students, let us talk about input elements. Input elements are the form elements that can accept input from the user. The following are some of the input elements that can be added to a form. These are also called form controls: text box, checkbox, radio button, password box. Besides the above mentioned controls, we can have other elements also on our form, which are buttons, drop-down list, pull-down menus, combo box, text area, multiple line text input. Students, let's know more. An input element with type equals to double quote in image double quote close creates an image button. An image button is similar in function to a submit button. For example, input type equals to double quote in image double quote close. src equals to double quote in tick.jpg double quote close. Alt equals to double quote in submit button double quote close. Align equals to double quote in right double quote close. Input attributes. Input tag is used to create the form input elements. The attributes which can be associated with this tag are type. This attribute specifies what kind of form control will be added to the form. The default type for an input element is text. It defines only one line of text. Name. Every control in the form must have a name to identify it. The name attribute specifies the name of an input element. Value. It specifies the initial value for the element. Size. It specifies the width of the input field. Maximum length. It specifies the maximum number of characters for the input field. Students, let me tell you how to add a text box. A text box allows a user to enter alphanumeric data, that is a combination of characters and numbers. You can add a text box to the form in the following way. Syntax. Input type equals to double quote in text double quote close. Student, note that the text input element creates a single line text box. Here, form specifies the beginning of the form. Input type equals to double quote in text double quote close. The value text indicates that the interface element is a text input field. Name equals to double quote in first name double quote close. First name is the name of the input field or text box. Size equals to 30. Specifies that the text field is 30 characters wide. By default, the size of the text field is 20. Maximum length equals to 10. Specifies the maximum number of characters, 10 in our case, that the user can enter into the input field. Value equals to double quotes. Value attribute specifies any default text in the input field. In our case, since we have not specified anything within the quotes, so the input field will appear blank. Now let me tell you how to add a checkbox. A checkbox is like a toggle switch which helps the user to select or deselect one or more items. As with other form controls, you have to type your label next to the checkbox. Example, input type equals to double quote in checkbox double quote close. Name equals to double quote in hobbies double quote close. Value equals to double quote in reading double quote close. Checked. Here, type equals to double quote in checkbox, double quote close indicates that the input form element is a checkbox. Name equals to double quote in C1, double quote close specifies the name of the checkbox as C1. Value equals to double quote in graduate, double quote close specifies the value that will be assigned to the checkbox when it is in the checked state. Checked. It determines that the checkbox should be pre-selected when the web page loads. Students know the fact the label element can describe the form controls which help the text-to-speech browsers to handle forms properly. Students, let us find out how to add a radio button. Radio buttons are used when a user has to make a selection of only one option among the several possible options. For example, while asking about the gender of a user, you need to specify two radio buttons, male and female, which belong to the same group called gender. A user will be able to select either male or female, but not both the options. Here, type equals to double quote in radio, double quote close indicates that the form element is a radio button. Name equals to double quote in gender, double quote close specifies the name of the radio group. Value specifies the value male or female of the input element, that is radio button. Checked specifies that the radio button should be pre-selected when the web page loads. Students, let's know more. The field set element is used to group the different form controls. The field set element can contain an optional legend element to describe different groups. Okay, let us see how to add a password field. A password form control is identical to a text box control, except that whatever the user enters into this field does not get displayed. Instead, dots or asterisks are shown on the screen so that no one can see the typed information. This input element is generally used to enter confidential information such as an ATM PIN or a login password.